you're born into games in society. Like you're born as an American, you're born into capitalism, you're born into all these norms, and then we learn them and they become invisible. So we don't realize we're actually in games we didn't choose to play. We're just playing it. And then we try to become number one if you're competitive in one of those different tracks. And so what I've tried to suggest to him is don't assume that any game being played in society is your game. Extract yourself, evaluate them for what they are. And so the first, I guess I would summarize that and say, don't try to be number one, try to be zero. And number one is you're going for rank. In a given game, I'm trying to be other players. A zero is, this is like a different concept, zero is principal thinking. You're trying to come up with a new idea, a new game to play. And I guess the advice would be, try not to feel overpowered by societal expectations of what they want you to play.
And so with that, in frame, if you were in front of somebody who was unhappy in some way, shape, or form in their life, or maybe even happy but really striving, how do you break the frame? Do they first have to sit and even go, okay, here's one game I'm playing, which is I'm in finance. Why are you in finance? Here's one game I'm playing. I'm dating somebody. Do you want to be dating somebody? What does dating mean? Like, how do you put that into practice?
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the most basic thing. We all have thoughts. I learned this when I was depressed, that I would have thoughts that would say, Bryan, life is not worth living, and you might want to kill yourself. In fact, you really do want to kill yourself. In fact, that's the only thing that gives you pleasure, is the ideation of killing yourself. So in that moment, when I learned that I am not my thoughts, that my brain was generating these observations and suggestions and even statements, that I could observe them and say, thank you, brain, for making that observation. I know that you're not me, so I'm not going to act on that, or am I going to acknowledge that as truth? And so you are not your thoughts. And so in any situation, because your brain is creating your reality, and if you just accept them when they land, then you're going to play the game your brain tells you, but your brain is not trustworthy. Absolutely not trustworthy. And so I know with my thoughts, in any given situation, I will disregard the first 5 or 6 thoughts I have on anything, because I know my brain's like just trying to situate itself. And even then, it's going to have critical errors of biases and all kinds of assumptions. And so that's the very first game. And so if you're walking into dating or career selection or something, if you can't catch the first layer, which is your mind is creating this false reality for you, then you'll be stuck downstream from that.
What about the hippie dippies in Austin where I'm located who say, but just listen to your gut. Your first reaction is right.
Yeah.
How do you push back on that, or do you?
It's a bit of a too simplistic of a rule to universalize. That is not to say that intuitions are not valuable. Like your body's legit doing computation, doing pattern matching, and you're probably able to generate wisdom that your conscious mind can't. And so it's not that it's not good, it's just that it's a data point among a larger set of data points. And some people, I think, will encourage that go with your first decision and then don't look back. Others will say, be more mindful. It's probably individual, but there's not a clean answer because people are trying to simplify the complexity of life. And they're trying to say, here's a rule. And so for me, the rule is don't trust your brain. And then of course, if someone says, okay, how do I not trust my brain? That just made things worse for me. That was really problematic, but it invites you to start a new game. So for example, if you learned that we each have 188 proven cognitive bias, they're shortcuts our mind makes to try to make sense of a really messy reality. And so your brain is always making these shortcuts to help you make sense, but then the trade-off is like it may not be as accurate. It's like confirmation bias. If I'm trying to find something what I really believe about a new concept, I'm going to find information. If it confirms what I want to believe, yep, I accept it. And if I find information that challenges my belief systems, I'm going to reject it. And so just being aware of that, and to me, that's been the single most valuable practice I've ever maintained, is knowing that I cannot trust my own mind. And then because once you start from there, then you can't trust others. You can't trust institutions. So who can you trust? And that starts the game of like how to build the life you want to build, because otherwise you're going to probably be disappointed in the process of trusting other forms of authority.